Breaking news on a Thursday afternoon that has ramifications for the entire Big Ten. Shockwaves are being sent through West Lafayette into us in Michigan here. Canon Catchings has been released from his national letter of intent. Canon Catchings is a top 40 recruit in the 2024 class, a 6'9" small forward who was committed to Purdue, was expected to factor in hugely in the Purdue rotation, potentially start at the 3 or the 4, definitely be a rotation player at the 3 or the 4. He's been with Overtime Elite. We've talked about Canon Catchings for a while on this program. There are a lot of really, really smart people who believe that Canon Catchings is the best high school player that Matt Painter has ever signed. That's a big deal because Matt Painter has had some great players come through this program, some NBA ready guys come through this program. Bigs, obviously, you can go down the list of great big men that Matt Painter has coached out of high school that he's gotten. He's had great guards recently. Jaden Ivey was really good as a 2-year to the NBA guy. Braden Smith has been great, started as a freshman. There were a lot of people who told us Canon Catchings would be the best Purdue freshman. And now here at the beginning of June, all of a sudden Purdue finds out that Canon Catchings isn't coming to school. I know I'm word vomiting here. I will turn it over to you in just a second, but I would be remiss not to say that a big part of this discussion is the reality that Matt Painter oversigned his roster. Matt Painter had 14 scholarship players signed up to play for Purdue next season, and there are only 13 scholarships you can work with. So, look, we have been told for months that Matt Painter had a plan. It would be resolved. But a month ago, when there was kind of a deadline for them to figure out and announce what was going on, there was no announcement. And that was super ominous to us at the time. And I think anyone that was being honest about it would admit we don't know what's going on, and it's probably not a good thing that we don't know what's going on. So I don't think it's a direct result. Like, I don't think this is, hey, Painter oversigned and that's why Canon Catchings isn't coming. But the reality is, when you have 14 guys that all think they're scholarship players, you're going to have to start having role conversations. You're going to have to start having, like, are my needs being met conversations? And even throughout high school, even throughout his Overtime Elite times, it's been very loud that Canon Catchings is a guy who needs some promises and needs to be told what he wants to hear. So let's start, Cart. How surprised are you by the news that Canon Catchings will not attend Purdue?
I'm very surprised given the timing of it. That's the thing for me because yes, there were murmurs about this. Like I think it's very well known that there was rumors that OTE might make a big payment or like Overtime Elite might make a big payment or someone else might try to just get Canon Catchings away from Purdue. But like to me, I thought they had got across the finish line. Like that I thought they got to the point where they didn't have to worry about it anymore. He was on campus. Like it's just very odd that he was on campus, basically ready to go, and now this is happening. So the timing of it is extremely strange and weird to me. And also like I'm just left wondering, were none of these conversations had prior? That makes no sense to me, that there wasn't these type of conversations about maybe playing time or guarantees, because apparently the rumors are, reports are, whatever you want to say, is that him and Catchings, Painter and Catchings, met last night, and basically Catchings was like, I want some guarantees of playing time and maybe some money guarantees. I think it was more playing time guarantees, and Paint wasn't willing to do that. So like they end up going their separate ways. But the timing of it is odd to me that these conversations weren't had beforehand. And it got to a point where he was on campus. Like once you get on campus, to me, that's like you're there. Like you made it across the aforementioned finish line. You beat the allegations that he might not come. So like I said, the timing of it is really weird. And despite all this, despite whatever narrative you want to take about the oversigning, the guarantees, simply put, don't try to spin this as a positive. That's the one thing I do not want to occur right here. They just
Yeah.
lost a top 40 guy with NBA level talent who that many thought was going to contribute to this year's team. And this player had many people believing in Purdue's ability this season and next year. Like if you're on the 2-year plan thing where you have guys like maybe Catchings comes back and guys get experience. So this is a hit to Purdue. Like this is and it's gonna be interesting to see how they pivot here, but this is not a good thing for Purdue basketball.
Yes, I agree. We have been banging the drum for like a couple weeks now, you and I both, of like when something unexpected happens to the team you root for, you don't have to explain it away as if it was always the plan. And there really is no way for Purdue fans to come around here and say like this was what was supposed to happen. Of course not. Canon Catchings was supposed to be awesome for you and you were looking forward to it. So like yeah, it's just one of those things. It's like a bow on top of you and I beating the drum of like every team in the country has unexpected shit happen. Not everything goes to plan, and this is a great example of things not going to plan. I mentioned the scholarship situation. I want to just elaborate a little more on this. I want to be clear. They had a solution to the scholarship problem that was not this. Like I want to make sure anyone watching this video doesn't think I'm saying, "Hey, this is." Like their solution or like Purdue had to do this or Catchings had to do this. Like, no, Purdue had a solution figured out that would have solved the oversigning issue and included Canon Catchings being happy in this role. That was fine. They had that figured out. We don't know what it was, but it was something. And this is a separate issue. This is a separate situation. And based on the story that you have shared, which I believe to be true, there was a meeting. Canon Catchings and Painter talked. Canon Catchings wanted promises. And I would assume those promises are, I want a starting spot. I want to be featured. I want to guarantee that I am going to be a really, really important part of this team. And I think you and I could have told you what was going to happen if this conversation happened. Matt Painter doesn't do that. Matt Painter does not do promises. I don't think Matt Painter's made promises to anyone, probably including Zach Edey. Like from what I know about how Matt Painter runs things, this is not the guy that's going to ever give a freshman anything. You have to earn it. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. Look, there's programs run completely different ways. Your coach does this too. He won't make promises, right? I think you and I are usually more along the lines of like, you should make some promises. Let's get some guys to campus. But I have a lot of respect for how Matt Painter has built programs. I have a lot of respect for how Matt Painter has won games. He's going to do things his way. He's at the very, very height of his tenure as Purdue's head coach right now. He shouldn't change for anyone, let alone Canon Catchings. So if that is what happened here, my read on that would honestly be, what did Canon Catchings think he was getting into? Like, do you not have a better read on the guy you signed up to play for if you're expecting promises?
That's what I'm saying. Like it goes both ways. Like if you want promises,
Don't
like
go here.
yeah, you also like the roster's not a secret.
Yeah.
You see who's on the team. You see the class that's coming in. Like what did you think's gonna happen? It's just odd timing, odd situation both ways, and it's just honestly I can't think of, and probably wrong on this one, but like a kid that like gets on campus and then immediately is just gone. Like he got there, he was on campus, you had him, and then stuff just goes awry.
Yeah. So how decimating is this to Purdue? Because we look at Purdue next season. You and I have both had them right around 10th in our preseason polls. We are adamant Braden Smith's going to be a star. I think we both feel good about the center spot with TKR and Jacobson. Then you've got some breakout options in Heidi and Colvin. You've got Fletcher Lawyer returning. But the reality is Canon Catchings was a huge part of what we liked about Purdue on paper. I mean, he was part of that special group in between Braden and the center that gave them so many shots at building something special. How much does this hurt Purdue's basketball team next season?
I think it hurts. I think it does hurt it. It hurts it even more because, and you tell me if I can make this correlation or not. If they didn't get Catchings, don't they want to keep a guy like Gillis?
One would think.
Yeah, one would think you'd want to keep a guy like Gillis. But with that said, I'm gonna put myself in Painter's size 14 on clouds or whatever shoes he wears.
He definitely wears a size 10, by the way. I could have told you that years ago.
For okay, that's on me. You still have this there was always like this log jam of like wing guys, like who was going to be the wing guard guys on this team, right? And many thought that Catchings would kind of take the step and be like the lead guy in that role. You still have Colvin, you still have Heidi as well. So like not all is bare. It's not absolutely devastating that you lose Canon Catchings, but it does hurt with that said. But it would hurt a lot less if you didn't have other guys that maybe have the possibility to break out this season, like Colvin and like Heidi. So I bet you those two guys are honestly a little bit happy right now.
Yeah, here's a live look at Miles Colvin today.
Can I give you a live look at Cam Heidi?
Yeah.
Well, first off, he's definitely showing a little bit of chest. I'm sorry, I don't have a chain.
Yeah, look, I think you and I have both agreed for a long time that Cam Heidi was going to be like the guy that emerges from this, and that included Canon Catchings. We're very confident that Cam Heidi is going to be a necessary piece. Next was like Fletcher, who I don't think was ever going to give up a starting spot, but it's kind of like, if all of the ceiling guys hit, then maybe Fletcher gets hurt a little bit. The reality is now Fletcher's going to play 32 minutes and you're not going to think twice. And if he hits a wall, oh, well, he still hit a wall. You need him. This puts a lot of pressure on Miles Colvin. This puts a lot of pressure on Miles Colvin because to me, Colvin is the least proven of the guys that are returning. And I think coming into the year, I had anticipated it would be Colvin who might fall down the pecking order if Canon Catchings was really good. And I felt very confident Heidi, Lawyer, Smith, center is great. And then having two shots at it between Catchings and Colvin, I'm like, one of those two will be really good. Now it's all on Miles Colvin. And I'm sure Miles Colvin is ecstatic about that. I'm sure the family is ecstatic about that. I've said this for the better part of a season, going back to when Miles Colvin was frowning on the bench getting DNPs last year. And Purdue fans fought me on this, man. Maybe Purdue fans will still fight me. I think this is a pretty clear indication. What happened today is a pretty clear indication that my body language PhD bullshit was right here. Okay. And not about Colvin, about the situation in general. There was zero chance that Matt Painter was going to be able to keep Fletcher Lawyer, Miles Colvin, Cam Heidi, and Canon Catchings all happy this season. Like, am I crazy for that? That's been the premise this entire time. That's what I was saying last year when I was projecting about you better keep Miles Colvin happy. It's because you know that a season from now, there's going to be 4 guys for 3 spots. And I did not anticipate that Canon Catchings would not play a game in a Purdue uniform. I thought he would get there and then we would figure out who the issue is. But the truth of this has always been one of these guys was going to lose out to the other 3. Do you think if Miles Colvin came off the bench for a whole season, he was going to be content with that? No chance. He wasn't going to get to his junior year without starting and be happy at Purdue. If Heidi was the guy who got benched, was that going to work? I don't know. I doubt it. Canon Catchings clearly cared about his role. It's impossible to keep guys happy. God forbid Fletcher Lawyer junior season, he starts coming off the bench. No chance. And basketball teams in college are built around people. These are young kids. And NIL has made this louder where people can make demands. It's part of it. It's not good for the sport, but it's the reality. Kids have to want to do the job that they're signed up for. And if they're unhappy at their job, they're going to change. And you need to prioritize happiness. You need to prioritize roles. And look, if you can convince kids to sacrifice, that's how you get special teams. Purdue just had a season result in championships because of sacrifice. Like, ask Caleb first about sacrifice, right? There are guys who have been really good players that have stepped aside. But what have we seen this offseason, Cart? What have we seen? Ethan Morton goes to Colorado State and says, I just want to remind people I can play basketball. What sacrifice and winning was great. Now I want to play basketball again. Mason Gillis. Yeah, I enjoyed my time. Purdue was great. 6-man. Now I want to go actually get on the court and help a young team and provide what I can on the court. Canon Catchings, clearly, I need my role. And Purdue has had more talent than ever. They've had more depth than ever. But if you thought you were going to keep everyone happy while asking everyone to sacrifice forever, you were crazy. Because when Zach Edey walks out the door, there isn't a national championship ready team to sacrifice for anymore. And the young guys want their minutes. And I think Painter maybe rode a little too hot to the sun here, thinking that he could get everyone to sip the Harry's chocolate shop Kool-Aid. And Canon Catchings wasn't about that.
Yeah, and this is not a shot or any regards, but like there is like a little bit of factor like, oh, like we're not subjected to that stuff because we're Purdue and pain is pain. And this is just a little subtle reminder that at the end of the day, like this is kind of the landscape of college basketball. And whether you are Bill Self in Kansas or Coach Paint and Purdue, stuff like this can happen. And you need to be aware of that at all times. And like I said, this hurts Purdue. Like, don't get me wrong, but at least you have something else there that could possibly pick up for what Catchings was going to bring this season.
Sorry, I took that phone call. That was actually Canon Catchings' agent. He was asking if I knew any spots that had a 7-figure paycheck available and a starting spot open on the wing.
Canon Catchings is going to end up in the Big Ten, isn't he?
I think there's a chance, Cart. I think there's a chance. There's also a chance he never plays college basketball, though.
Yeah, big chance. Yeah.
I feel like we haven't done the service to this point here. Canon Catchings is crazy. Like, this is a crazy move. And as much as I think like there have been some missteps from Painter along the way leading up to this, he's crazy. Like Canon Catchings is making a mistake.
No. Let's also make something extremely clear. Talent-wise, I think it hurts Purdue this season, but also there's a good chance that Paint might have just dodged a very toxic bullet.
The locker room just got a lot better today for Purdue. And maybe that's a trade-off because Painter's won a lot of games with teams that haven't had as much talent as this one will. So if you can guarantee everybody's happy, but goodness, what a surprise. What an early June surprise. I did not see this coming.
Whew. Who knew that the two teams in the national championship game would have themselves a day today?
Oh, I had one other point on this. We didn't bring this up. Personnel-wise, do you think that this could mean early Daniel Jacobson minutes? Because I was thinking about this. If Colvin's not good, or if one of Colvin or Heidi just like aren't ready for a starter role, couldn't you go back to TKR at the 4 full time?
Yeah, you can. I don't know if that's what's ideal for Daniel Jacobson's development, though.
I agree with that.
I like him. I like his future. I don't know if I'm ready to throw him to the fire as the starting center in the Big Ten right now.
Jakari Harris minutes?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know if this actually makes anybody on Purdue's current team unhappy. I think everyone on the team just got happier.
What do you think Matt Painter's reaction in that room was? Like, can Matt Painter get mad?
I think he can, but I think he was actually pretty shocked. Like, I think he was shocked that he like came into his office after getting on campus and that's like what he was doing. And he expected a positive reaction from him in that case. Yeah. Like, did he really? Okay, you already said this, but this is crazy. Like, I wouldn't walk into Coach Izzo's office and like demand playing time or something like that and expect like a great response in return, knowing that's the coach. But maybe that points to like who Canon Catchings is. Like,
honestly, you know what this feels like to me now that we're closing the book on the Canon Catchings Purdue chapter. I have a very good thing here. Have you ever watched Love Is Blind?
Yes.
This was a Love Is Blind relationship. This is what this was. This was Canon Catchings and Matt Painter getting engaged to be married without ever seeing each other. And Matt Painter was just like, that kid's talented. I need talent. And
I might need a Love Is Blind graphic and or thumbnail now.
Canon Catchings was like, that team's in the national title game. This is perfect. But then, like, meanwhile, you're falling in love with the idea of them, and then you show up, and Canon Catchings is like, "Wait, you're a coach who never actually plays freshmen," and Matt Painter's like, "Wait, you're a head case that doesn't want to sacrifice." Oh shit, maybe we shouldn't get married because we're actually horrible for each other. Like that's 100% what happened here. There has not, people can say this, there has never been a recruit who was more talented than Canon Catchings for Purdue. There was also never a recruit who was less of a Painter guy than Canon Catchings. That's why it made this whole thing crazy. And I don't know, man. I would assume if Catchings does go the college route, he ends up with a program that looks nothing like Purdue, right? Like, what are the schools you could see Catchings ending up at if he did go the college route?
SMU, Louisville, Kansas State, Illinois, one of those schools, something like that.
Coleman
Texas A&M,
Hawkins. Coleman Hawkins has a chance to do the funniest thing ever, right?
the absolutely funniest thing ever. And I kind of want it to happen.
I really want it to happen. Goodness. Also, shout out to Purdue for trying to sneak this one, by the way. They tried to just like send the Chris Foreman email, the SID email. It's just like, this player was released from his national letter of intent. And also, here's our newsletter. Like, they really thought nobody would notice if they just buried it in junk email.
Oh man, like I got it, and I was like, "Wait a goddamn second, what does that say?"
Crazy. All right. Hang in there, Purdue. I think everything's going to be okay. Uh, Also, maybe stop oversigning your classes. But other than that, I think everything's okay. And maybe you dodged a bullet. Maybe your locker room got happier today. The NBA draft is coming up, and I've got something awesome for you. We are partnering with the people at NBA 2K Lab. NBA 2K is the best video game on earth. The people at 2K Lab are making some awesome stuff to make that game even more fun, and they just launched their 2024 NBA Draft Simulator, where you can find the official Sleepers Media big board. We ranked our top 75 players in this draft class. Me, Carter, Brian Ralph, Riley Davis. We did it together, and it is featured on the 2K Lab NBA Draft Simulator. You can take control of any team in the draft, play GM with just one click, and see our entire rankings before these videos even come out. Check out the link in the description of this video to try out the draft sim for yourself, and you can find more mini games at nba2klab.com/NBA-mini-games.